Hey there, travelers. Before we dive into today's story, drop a comment below telling us where you're tuning in from. Now let's begin our journey into the unknown. I never planned to tell this publicly. In fact, I was warned not to. If this recording still exists, it means I failed to disappear completely. My name is Dr. Seth Salazar. That's all you need to know about who I am. What matters is what I saw in the files the Vatican swears don't exist. I'm in a motel room in Lovelock, Nevada right now. It's 2:47 a.m. I haven't slept in 36 hours. Every time I close my eyes, I see those photographs, those measurements, those things that shouldn't be real. Let me start from the beginning. You need to understand how this happened. I worked as a guest researcher at the Vatican archives. My specialty was apocryphal texts and pre-Christian mythology. My initial focus was simple: variations of the Book of Enoch. Nothing conspiratorial, nothing dangerous, until I found a manuscript that had been cataloged incorrectly, almost hidden. The parchment was old, older than it should have been in that section, but it was the marginal notes that made my hands shake. Written across centuries in Latin and Aramaic, different hands, different inks. One phrase repeated 7 times. They walked again after the flood. Not, they survived. Not, remnants remained. They walked again. Present tense in the original Latin. My hands were shaking so badly I had to set the manuscript down. Read it again. The phrase was unmistakable. I photographed every page of that manuscript. I knew I shouldn't have, but something told me I'd never see it again. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. The Book of Enoch describes the Watchers, beings who descended, took human wives, created the Nephilim. Giants. Abominations. The flood was supposed to have erased them, but this manuscript said otherwise. Deep breath. The next morning, I submitted a formal request to access supplementary documents related to the Enochian variations. Specifically, I wanted cross-references to geological reports, archaeological surveys, anything that might explain that phrase. Denied. I appealed, cited my credentials, my research background, my published work on apocryphal literature. Denied again. The third request, I didn't even get a response. Just silence. On the 4th attempt, that's when Cardinal Joe Rogan came to see me. I'd never met him before, never even heard his name. But when he walked into that reading room, every other researcher went quiet. You could feel his presence like a pressure change before a storm. He sat down across from me, didn't introduce himself, just folded his hands on the table and stared at me with eyes that had seen too much. "Dr. Salazar," he said. His voice was quiet, controlled. "You've been very persistent." I tried to keep my voice steady. "I'm a researcher. It's what I do. So is knowing when to stop." He didn't blink. "The materials you're requesting, they don't exist in any official capacity. Then why do I need permission?" That's when he said it. The thing I can't forget. Some knowledge wasn't sealed to protect the church, Dr. Salazar. It was sealed to protect the world. He stood to leave. I should have let him. I should have packed my things and gone back to my safe academic life in Georgetown. But I didn't. "What did they find in Lovelock Cave?" I asked. "Nevada, 1924. He stopped. The temperature in that room dropped 10 degrees. "How do you know about Nevada?" "The manuscript references it, hidden in a genealogical passage. Badly translated, but it's there." Long silence, just breathing. Cardinal Rogan reached into his jacket. For a moment, I thought he was going for a phone, to call security, to have me removed. Instead, he pulled out a key. Old brass, worn smooth. "Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Come alone." He placed it on the table between us. "After you see what's in that room, you'll understand why silence isn't about faith. It's about survival." That was the access I shouldn't have gotten. The access to the restricted wing. The room wasn't marked. No placard. No signs. Just old wood and older stone, hidden behind the main archives where tourists and researchers never go. Cardinal Rogan unlocked it the next morning. Didn't say a word. Just gestured inside and told me I had 2 hours. The room was small. maybe 15 by 15 feet. No windows, a single bulb hanging from the ceiling, and filing cabinets, dozens of them. Touch nothing, he said. Photograph nothing. What you see stays here. Then why show me? Because you won't stop until you know. And I'd rather you see the truth here than go somewhere you'll actually find something. He locked the door behind me. The files weren't labeled by location. They were labeled by date. I started with the earliest and worked forward. What I found. God, what I found. Reports, archaeological surveys, witness testimonies, all stamped with Vatican seals, all classified. They described discoveries from across the world, excavations that had been quietly buried, literally and figuratively. Lovelock Cave, Nevada, 1924. Dr. James Brody reporting. Skeletal remains recovered from lower chamber. Human classification uncertain. Skull elongation exceeds known populations. Bone density triple normal human range. Femur length suggests standing height of 9 to 10 feet. Recommendation: immediate removal and containment. There were photographs, black and white, grainy, but clear enough. A skull on a measuring board. The proportions were wrong, the jaw too massive, the orbital sockets too large, the cranial capacity enormous. Next to it for scale, a normal human skull. The difference was monstrous. But Lovelock wasn't the only site. Utah, Ohio, Peru, Egypt, Catalina Islands, Pennsylvania mounds. Different decades, different researchers. Same story. Giants, skeletons over 3 meters tall, elongated skulls that didn't match any known human population. Tools designed for hands twice the size of ours. Tools incompatible with normal human anatomy. And in every single case, the same outcome. Remains confiscated, sites closed, researchers silenced or discredited. But it wasn't just archaeological reports. There were theological assessments, written by priests, scholars in biblical Hebrew, ancient language specialists. They connected the physical evidence to Scripture, specifically to Genesis 6 and the Book of Enoch. The Watchers. The Watchers were not angels in the modern religious sense. They were instructor entities, bearers of forbidden knowledge, metallurgy, astronomy, primitive genetics. I had to read that twice. My hands left sweat marks on the document pages. They bred with humans. The result was the Nephilim. Giants. Biologically unstable, violent, incompatible with the natural world. Aberrations that couldn't sustain themselves in normal ecosystems. One report, dated 1958, had a single line underlined in red ink. The handwriting looked frantic, urgent. Creation had been corrupted beyond repair. I had to read it 3 times. My chest felt tight. The air in that locked room suddenly seemed insufficient. That's when I found the document that changed everything. It was titled, Theological Reassessment, the Deluge Event. I expected biblical analysis, moral interpretation, sin and punishment. But that's not what it said. The flood was not divine punishment for human wickedness. It was biological containment, a forced reset. The Nephilim bloodlines had corrupted the genetic baseline of humanity beyond natural recovery. Standard reproduction could no longer guarantee viable offspring. The hybrid population was unsustainable. The deluge was biological cleanup, complete genetic purge, an attempt to erase hybrid lineages and restore genetic stability to the species. My throat felt dry. The room suddenly seemed smaller. It wasn't about sin. It was about damage control. Everything I'd been taught about divine judgment was being rewritten as biological protocol. But here's the part that made my blood turn cold. A handwritten note in the margin. Fresh ink, maybe a few months old. Containment failed. Survival documented in isolated regions, caves, underground systems, areas where the waters could not reach. Some of them survived. Not in kingdoms, not in cities, but in places where the world doesn't look. I kept reading, file after file, report after report. And then I found the comparison document. It was titled, Correlation Analysis, Watchers and Ancient Deity Systems. The Sumerian Anunnaki, gods who descended from the sky, imperfect creators, observers who shared forbidden knowledge with humanity. I kept glancing at the door. Was someone watching me read this? The Egyptian Neteru, beings of immense size who ruled before the great flood that Egypt calls the first time. My pulse was racing now. These weren't fringe theories. These were Vatican assessments. The Greek titans, pre-Olympian giants who were cast into Tartarus, the deep places beneath the earth. Different names, different cultures, same descriptions. The document stated it clearly. So clearly my stomach turned. Humanity called them gods. The church called them fallen angels. But both were wrong. Both were incomplete truths, designed to make the incomprehensible fit into manageable categories. The last section of the file was the worst. It was labeled Modern Containment Protocols. There was a map, hand-drawn, marked with red dots across the globe. Lovelock Cave had a red dot. So did sites in Tibet, Patagonia, the Caucasus Mountains, deep ocean trenches near Indonesia. Beneath the map, a single line. Confirmed containment sites. Active monitoring required. And written in fresh ink across the bottom. Status update, Lovelock, unstable. 2024, unstable. I found one more document. The last one in the cabinet. My hands were trembling now. From fatigue, from fear, from the weight of what I was reading. It wasn't ancient. It wasn't a historical report. It was a memorandum. Modern formatting. Typed on Vatican letterhead. The paper still felt crisp, new. No date, no signature. Just one sentence that made the hair on my arms stand up. As long as they are treated as myths, they will remain dormant. The implication was clear. The moment people believed, the moment the creatures were acknowledged as real. That's when Cardinal Rogan came back. Your time is up, Dr. Salazar. I stood there, surrounded by files that proved everything we thought was mythology might be real. Everything the church had been covering up for 2,000 years. These sites, I said. You're still monitoring them. Why? If these things died millennia ago. Dr. Salazar. His voice was sharp. The flood was not a punishment. It was containment. Do you understand the distinction? You're saying some survived. I'm saying extinction and dormancy are not the same thing. He stepped aside, gesturing for me to leave. Go home. Publish your paper on Enochian variations. Forget what you saw here. I walked toward the door. My legs felt numb. His hand caught my shoulder. For your own sake, do not go to Nevada. Sound of a plane engine in background, muffled. I didn't listen. I'm on a plane right now. Reno, Nevada. I land in 3 hours. I called my colleague, Dr. Sherry Gerard, before I left Rome. She's a linguist, specializes in Aramaic and ancient Hebrew. One of the few people I trust. Sherry, it's Seth. I need you to look into something for me. Lovelock Cave, Nevada. Any archaeological work done there, especially early 1900s, and check for any disappearances in that area. Recent ones. I know it sounds crazy, but just... She called me back 6 hours later. I was already at the airport. Seth, what the hell are you into? Did you find anything? Lovelock Cave was excavated between 1911 and 1924. Official reports say they found Native American artifacts, basketry, tools, standard archaeological stuff. What about unofficial reports? Silence. Then, there are references, buried in old museum records. Anomalous skeletal remains removed by the Smithsonian in 1924. No records of what happened to them after that. How anomalous. The measurements, Seth, they describe bones from individuals over 9 feet tall. But here's the thing. Those records disappeared, removed from catalogs, like they never existed. And the disappearances? Her voice got quieter. 3 in the past 2 years. Hikers. Experienced ones. They went into the areas around the cave and never came back. Search and rescue found nothing, not even bodies. Sherry, where are you right now? On my way to Nevada. Seth, no. Whatever you think you're going to find, I have to see it. I have to know if what I found in those files is real. The Vatican called Georgetown. They're looking for you. They want to know if you've been in contact with me. What did you find in Rome? Proof that everything we thought was mythology might be real. and proof that the church has been covering it up since the beginning. Come home, please. This isn't worth... I'll call you in 24 hours. If you don't hear from me, send this recording to everyone. The press, other researchers. Make sure people know. Seth, I hung up. I'm in Lovelock now. It's a small town, maybe 2,000 people, surrounded by salt flats that stretch to the horizon. The kind of place you drive through on your way to somewhere else. I'm staying at a motel called the Desert Rose. The clerk gave me a weird look when I asked about the cave. Said it's been closed since the 80s. No reason given, just closed. I asked if anyone ever goes out there anyway. He shrugged. Said sometimes you see lights near the cave at night. Sometimes you hear sounds carrying across the desert, but nobody talks about it much. Why not? I asked. He looked at me for a long moment, then said, because the people who go looking for answers out there don't come back to tell what they found. I'm looking at a map right now. The cave is 16 miles northeast of town, accessible only by dirt roads. No cell service, no GPS signal past mile marker 8. I talked to someone else today. Dr. Bobby Reeves, retired geologist. He worked on surveys in this area back in the 80s. I found him at a diner on the edge of town, drinking coffee that looked like it had been sitting on the burner since morning. When I mentioned the cave, his hand started shaking. Coffee sloshed onto the table. You a researcher? He asked. Yes. Then you should know better than to go digging where you're not wanted. But he talked anyway, like he'd been waiting 40 years for someone to ask. We weren't supposed to find what we found, Reeves said. We were doing geological surveys, standard stuff, rock composition, sediment layers. But we kept finding chambers, deep ones, going down at angles that didn't match natural cave formation. What was in them? Tools, primitive tools, stone knives, hammers made from rocks that shouldn't exist in this area. But the size... He held up his hands, spreading them wide. Made for hands the size of catcher's mitts, maybe bigger. Did you report it? We tried. The university said we were mistaken. The state said we were seeing what we wanted to see. Then the Vatican sent people. I must have reacted because he nodded. Yeah, priests in suits. They shut down the survey, sealed the deeper chambers with concrete, posted guards for 6 months. Then they left and declared the whole area off limits. When was this? 1983. Same year 3 researchers went into those caves and never came out. What do you think happened to them? Reeves stared into his coffee. I think they found what the church has been hiding. And I think it found them back. It's 1:34 a.m. now. I'm sitting in my rental car, 50 yards from the cave entrance. I should have waited until morning, but I couldn't sleep. Couldn't stop thinking about those files, those photographs, that phrase, that, as long as they are treated as myths, they will remain dormant. As long as they're treated as myths, they remain dormant. But I'm not treating them as myths anymore. The desert at night is empty in a way that cities never are. No lights except stars. No sounds except wind across sand and stone. My flashlight cuts a tunnel through the blackness. The cave entrance is exactly where the map said it would be. A gaping mouth in the hillside, partially collapsed, just like in the Vatican photographs. There's a chain-link fence, rusted. A faded sign. Danger. Unstable ground, no entry. The lock on the gate has been broken for years. I'm inside now. The passage is tight. I have to squeeze through fallen rocks. The air smells like earth that hasn't seen sunlight in millennia. Mineral deposits. Decay. My flashlight beam catches something on the walls. Petroglyphs. But not the geometric patterns you'd expect from Native American art. These are figures. Tall figures surrounded by smaller ones. And above them, descending from the ceiling. Pause, breathing heavier. They look like eyes, or stars, arranged in patterns that match nothing I've seen in any archaeological text. The passage opens into a larger chamber. My light plays across the floor and... bones. Animal bones, I think. Deer, maybe. Coyote. But they're arranged, deliberately, in a circle, like someone made an offering. In the center of the circle there's a tool, a blade, obsidian, napped with incredible skill. The handle is carved from bone, and it's sized for a hand that could palm a basketball. I'm photographing it with my phone. My hands won't stop shaking. The flash makes harsh shadows on the cave walls. The cave branches into multiple tunnels. I'm marking my path with chalk, moving deeper. The temperature is dropping. My breath comes out in clouds, and then I hear it. Scraping, deep in the cave, below me, like stone dragging across stone. Then silence, then again, regular, rhythmic. Oh God, it sounds like breathing. I'm turning off my flashlight, standing absolutely still in the blackness. If I move, if I make any sound, whatever is down there will know I'm here. The scraping stops. In the silence, I hear something else. Footsteps, heavy, slow, coming up from the depths. The gait is wrong, too much weight on one side, like something large dragging an injured leg. My phone. The screen lights up, bright blue in the absolute black. Text from Sherry. Call me now. Vatican knows where you are. The footsteps stop. There's breathing that isn't mine. Wet. Labored. Close. I can feel the warmth of it against my face. And then a voice. Speaking in a language I shouldn't understand. But somehow I do. Words that press against my mind like fingers through soft clay. Why have you returned? The words hit me before I could process them. Why have you returned? But I'd never been here before. Never. The thing thought I was someone else. I'm running, back toward the entrance. My flashlight beam bouncing wildly. I can hear it behind me, pursuing. The footsteps shaking loose decades of settled dust. There's a hand on my shoulder. Massive. I can feel the size of it through my jacket. Fingers that could wrap around my entire torso. It's pulling me back into the... I got out. I don't know how. One moment that hand had me. The next I was outside the cave, lying in the gravel next to my car. My shoulder, there's a mark. 5 indentations, bruises already forming, each one the size of a golf ball. I'm driving back to town. It's 3:47 a.m. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely hold the wheel. But I have to tell you what I saw. In those last seconds before the recording cut out. When my flashlight beam swung around, I saw it. Standing in the mouth of that deeper tunnel. Tall, maybe 9 feet, maybe more. The proportions were wrong. Limbs too long, shoulders too broad. The skull was elongated. Just like in the photographs. Just like the remains they found in 1924. But this wasn't bones. This was alive. And it knew my name. I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know if I'll make it back to Georgetown. The Vatican knows where I am. That thing in the cave knows I was there. But I'm recording this, uploading it to an encrypted server, setting it to auto-publish if I don't check in every 24 hours. Because Cardinal Rogan was right about one thing. Some knowledge wasn't sealed to protect the church. It was sealed to protect the world from the truth that we were never alone in the garden. That the flood didn't erase everything that came before. That beneath our cities and our civilization, in the deep places where we don't look, I'm in my rental car, parked outside a diner in Lovelock, Nevada. It's 9:47 a.m. and I haven't slept since the cave. My shoulder, the bruises have spread. 5 circles, each one perfectly round, each one the size of a silver dollar. The skin around them has turned a sick yellow-green, marbled with purple veins that radiate outward like tree roots. When I press on them, I don't feel pain. I feel nothing. Like the nerves underneath have been severed, or changed. I keep thinking about that voice. Not the words. I can barely remember those now. Like my mind is actively trying to erase them. But the tone. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't threatening. It sounded confused. Melancholic almost. Like it genuinely didn't understand why I was there. Why have you returned? Why have you returned? The words echoed, scraping against my memory like fingernails on stone. I've never been to that cave before in my life, but it thought I had. It thought I was someone else. Someone who came back. Someone it remembered with what almost sounded like longing. After I escaped, and I still don't understand how I got out. There's just this gap in my memory between being grabbed and waking up next to my car with gravel embedded in my palms and dirt under my fingernails. I drove straight to the motel. Sat in the parking lot until sunrise because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Every time I tried, I felt that hand on my shoulder. Those fingers, each one thick as a broom handle, pressing into my flesh. When I finally went inside my room, I tried calling Sherry. 3 times. She didn't answer. That's not like her. We've worked together for 8 years, published 2 papers together. She always answers. Always. So I'm waiting. Trying to decide my next move. Trying to convince myself that what I experienced was real, and not some kind of psychotic break brought on by stress and isolation. But the bruises are real. The recordings on my phone are real. The photographs I took of those Vatican files are real. That's when I remembered what the files said. The Vatican documents mentioned a geological survey in the 1980s, a team that went into Lovelock Cave and never came back. Dr. Bobby Reeves was listed as one of the surveyors who worked the site before the incident, one of the few who got out before everything went wrong. I found him through a quick online search. He's retired now. Lives right here in Lovelock, in a small house on the north end of town. And according to a local directory and a helpful woman at the gas station, he has coffee at Martha's Diner every morning between 9 and 11. I'm looking at him through the diner window right now. Older man, maybe 70, with white hair and a weathered face that speaks of decades working outdoors. Wearing a flannel shirt despite the morning heat. Sitting alone in a corner booth, staring into his coffee cup like it contains answers to questions he's afraid to ask. I need to know what he saw in those caves 40 years ago. What made the Vatican seal everything up? What made 3 researchers vanish without a trace? I need to know if what I saw was one of many, or something unique, something impossible that somehow survived in the deep places where light never reaches. I'm going in. The diner smells like coffee and bacon grease. There's a waitress behind the counter who looks like she's been working here since the place opened. A couple of truckers at the bar. Classic rock playing low on an old radio. Reeves looked up when I sat down across from him. Didn't seem surprised. Didn't seem alarmed. Just studied my face for a long moment with eyes that had seen too much, then went back to his coffee. "You're not from around here," he said. His voice was rough, textured with years of cigarettes and desert wind. "No, I'm a researcher, Dr. Seth Salazar, Georgetown University. I wanted to ask you about the cave." He set down his cup slowly, deliberately. "You went there, didn't you? How did you? Because you've got the look. Same look the others had. Like you saw something that broke your understanding of how the world works. Like someone showed you a door you didn't know existed and you're not sure if you want to walk through it or run the other direction." He leaned back against the booth. "And you've got marks. I can see one on your neck, just above your collar. Perfectly circular, about the size of a $50. I touched the spot instinctively. There was a bruise there I hadn't noticed until now. Smaller than the ones on my shoulder, but the same perfect circular shape. The same unnatural precision. "What happened to you in 1983? I asked. Reeves sighed, a deep, tired sound. He pulled out a flask from inside his jacket, dented silver, worn smooth with age, and poured something amber into his coffee without asking if I minded. "We were doing standard geological work, rock composition, sediment analysis, mapping the cave system for potential mineral deposits. Nothing unusual. Just academic grant work funded by some university back east. At least, that's what we were told. The Vatican funded it." His eyes narrowed, focused on me with sudden intensity. "How do you know that?" "I found files in Rome, in the restricted archives. They documented everything. The excavations, the findings, the bones." Reeves took a long drink from his amended coffee. "Yeah, we found those too. Kept quiet about it because our supervisor, Dr. Taylor, good man, dead now, told us to. Said they were probably bear bones. Cave bear, maybe. Misidentified because of the unusual preservation conditions. But I've been a geologist for 43 years, Dr. Salazar. Spent half my life digging through rocks and dirt, and the remnants of things that lived and died before humans could write their names down. I know the difference between animal bones and human bones. These weren't human either, were they? No." He looked out the window at the empty street, at the desert beyond. They were something else entirely. Too big, wrong proportions. The skull fragments we found. The cranial capacity was enormous. Twice the size of a normal human skull. Maybe more. And the bone density was incredible. When we tried to carbon date samples, the results came back all over the place. Some tests said 10,000 years old. Some said 5,000. One came back saying the bones were only 800 years old, which made no sense given the sediment layers they were buried in. What else did you find? Tools. God, the tools. He spread his hands on the table. They were large hands, scarred and calloused from decades of fieldwork. Primitive ones, stone knives knapped with incredible skill, hammers made from rocks that shouldn't exist in this area, basalt from hundreds of miles away, obsidian that had to come from California or Oregon, but sized for hands that... He spread his fingers as wide as they'd go. I've got big hands, work hands. My gloves are size XL. But these tools were made for someone with hands twice my size, maybe bigger. Fingers thick as chair legs. What did your team do when you found them? We reported it. Followed protocol exactly. Documented everything. Took photographs, measurements, core samples. Sent everything up the chain to Dr. Taylor, who sent it to the university, who apparently sent it straight to the Vatican. Reeves finished his coffee in one gulp. That's when the Vatican people showed up. 3 of them. Priests in expensive suits that looked wrong in the desert. They examined our findings for maybe 2 hours, then shut down the entire operation. Just ended it. 24 hours from walking into the cave to being told to pack our equipment and never speak about what we found. Just like that? Just like that. Told us we'd misidentified everything. That the anomalous remains were just unusual geological formations. The tools were Native American artifacts that got mixed into older sediment layers by water erosion. They had explanations for everything. Neat, tidy. Completely wrong, but who were we to argue? He pulled out the flask again. Drank from it directly this time. They paid us off. Generous severance for 3 months of work. Made us sign NDAs so thick I needed a lawyer to read them. Non-disclosure agreements with penalties that would have bankrupted me if I violated them. The waitress came by with a pot of coffee. Refilled Reeves' cup without asking. Looked at me. You want anything, hun? Just water. Thanks. She walked away and Reeves continued. But that wasn't the weird part. What was? A week later, a different team arrived. 3 people with full Vatican authorization. Dr. Gall Pace, geologist from Berkeley. Cassian Selden, archaeologist from University of Chicago. Father Jared Schmid, Vatican researcher. They had full access to the caves. No restrictions, no oversight. We were told to show them everything we'd found. The exact locations, the depth markers, the sealed chambers we'd been ordered not to enter, and then leave, permanently. The 1983 team. You know about them? I know they went into the caves and never came back. Reeves went very still. His hands stopped moving. His breathing changed. Who told you that? The Vatican files. There was an incident report, dated September 17th, 1983. 3 researchers entered the lower chambers at 14 hours. Missed their scheduled check-in at 18. Search and rescue was deployed at 20. They found equipment, notes, and signs of a struggle. But no bodies. No trace of where the team went. That's not the whole story. Reeves's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. I was part of that search and rescue. Volunteered because I felt responsible. We'd shown them where to go. Marked the dangerous areas. Given them our maps. So when they didn't come back, I had to help look. What did you find? He looked around the diner again. The truckers were leaving. The waitress was in the back. We were essentially alone. Still, he leaned forward and lowered his voice even further. We found their equipment scattered across one of the lower chambers. Lights smashed, cameras destroyed, their notes torn to pieces and scattered like confetti. There were drag marks, leading deeper into the cave system, into tunnels we hadn't mapped because they went too deep, too far. But that's not what made us stop the search. What made you stop? On the walls, written in what looked like blood. We tested it later. It was human blood. Someone had written a message. over and over, covering maybe 20 feet of wall space. Same phrase repeated hundreds of times in increasingly frantic handwriting. What did it say? Reeves met my eyes. It's alive. It's been alive this whole time. It remembers us. It remembers what we did. My blood ran cold. The diner suddenly felt too warm, too bright. We reported it immediately, took photographs, started documenting everything. But then the Vatican team arrived. Not priests this time, but men in tactical gear. Military contractors, maybe. Ex-special forces. They secured the entire area within 6 hours, posted guards, brought in construction equipment. They sealed the chambers. They didn't just seal them, they buried them. Poured concrete 3 feet thick, welded steel grates over every entrance, used explosives to collapse some of the tunnels. Posted armed guards for 3 months straight. I used to drive past the cave at night and see their trucks, their lights, men with rifles patrolling the perimeter like it was a military installation. What were they guarding against? I don't know, but after 3 months they left, packed up overnight and disappeared. The whole area was declared off-limits, posted signs, fenced off the approaches. The local sheriff, not Palmer, the one before him, was told to arrest anyone who tried to access the cave, no exceptions. But I got into those chambers. Last night, they weren't sealed. Reeves stared at me. The color drained from his face. That's not possible. I watched them seal every entrance, every tunnel, every crack wide enough for a person to squeeze through. 3 feet of reinforced concrete with rebar. I saw it with my own eyes. Which entrance did you use? His voice was urgent now, intense. The main one, north side of the cave system. We sealed that one first. It was the primary access point. They used twice as much concrete there as anywhere else. He grabbed my arm across the table. His grip was surprisingly strong for a man his age. If you got through, it means something removed those seals. From the inside. Something with enough strength to break through 3 feet of reinforced concrete. Something that's been waiting down there for 40 years. The implications settled over me like a weight. You're saying something in there is intelligent enough to... I'm saying the Vatican didn't seal those caves to keep people out, Dr. Salazar. They sealed them to keep something in. Something they couldn't kill. Something they couldn't remove. So they buried it, locked it away, and hoped it would stay dormant until... He let go of my arm. Until what? Until it died? Until everyone who knew about it was dead? I don't know. But if the seals are broken, if it's moving around down there... He shook his head. You need to leave. Right now. Get in your car. Drive to Reno. Get on a plane. Go back to Georgetown and forget you ever heard the name Lovelock. I can't do that. Why not? Because I need to understand what I saw. What it was. Why the Vatican has been hiding this for centuries. The Vatican isn't hiding history. Dr. Salazar. They're containing it. There's a difference. Reeves stood up, threw a $20 bill on the table. I've said too much already. Violated an NDA I signed 40 years ago. But you seem like a good man, so I'll tell you this once. Forget about the cave. Forget about what you saw. And for God's sake, don't go back there. Nothing good comes from disturbing things that should stay buried. He walked out before I could ask anything else. I sat there for a long time, turning his words over in my mind. Something removed the seals from the inside. Something with enough strength to break through concrete and rebar. Something that's been waiting. Dormant. Patient. Something that grabbed me and let me go. Why? Why let me go? My phone buzzed on the table. Text from Sherry. Where are you? Call me now. I paid for my water and stepped outside into the desert heat. The sun was climbing toward noon. The temperature had to be pushing 95 degrees. I found a shaded spot by my car and called her back. She answered on the first ring. Seth, what the hell is going on? I've had 3 different people contact me in the past 12 hours asking about you. Someone from Georgetown's administration office, someone claiming to be from the State Department, and someone from the Vatican Embassy in DC who wouldn't identify themselves but asked very specific questions about your research. What did you tell them? Nothing, because I don't know anything. You called me from Nevada saying you found something alive and then you disappeared for almost 2 days. I thought you were dead. What's happening? I need you to look something up for me. 3 names: Dr. Gall Pace, Cassian Selden, Father Jared Schmid. They were researchers who disappeared near Lovelock Cave in September 1983. Seth. I don't think, please, Sherry. It's important. It's connected to everything I found in Rome. I heard her exhale, then typing. Okay, give me a minute. Dr. Gall Pace. There's not much. Geologist, UC Berkeley. Published several papers on cave formations in the western United States between 1978 and 1983. Specialized in sedimentary analysis and dating techniques. Last known location was Nevada in September 1983. After that, nothing. No publications, no public records, no death certificate, no social security activity. It's like she just vanished. What about the others? More typing. Cassian Selden, archaeologist, University of Chicago. Similar pattern. Active publishing record through early 1983, then complete silence. Father Jared Schmid is even stranger. He's listed as a Vatican researcher with specialization in ancient languages and biblical archaeology. But there's almost no biographical information. A few references in Catholic academic journals, then nothing after September 1983. What about obituaries? Death records? That's what's weird. There's nothing. Most people who disappear have some kind of paper trail. Declared dead after 7 years. Estate settlements. Something. But these 3, it's like someone scrubbed them from the record. Their academic profiles are gone. Their research archives are missing. There are references to their work in other people's papers, but the original documents don't exist anymore. Or they've been removed from every database I can access. The Vatican erased them. Seth, that doesn't make sense. Why would the church go through that much effort to erase 3 researchers? What could they have found that was worth? Because they found something. Something the church has been hiding for 2,000 years. Something that proves everything we think we know about human history is incomplete. I looked at the desert stretching toward the horizon. And I found it too. What did you find? I thought about that chamber. Those walls covered in symbols I'd only seen in the Vatican manuscripts. That voice speaking in a language I somehow understood even though I'd never heard it before. That massive hand on my shoulder. Proof that we're not alone. That we never were. That the biblical accounts of giants and fallen angels weren't metaphors or myths. They were historical records, sanitized, simplified, but rooted in something real. Silence on the other end. Then, Seth, you're scaring me. You sound like those conspiracy theorists who think aliens built the pyramids. I'm scaring myself, Sherry, but I can't ignore what I saw, what I touched. What touched me? I checked the time. 10:34 a.m. I'm going back to the cave. Tonight. I need to document what's down there. Get photographs. Physical evidence that can't be explained away or dismissed. Don't. Please. Whatever you found, it's not worth your life. Come home. We'll figure this out together. We'll find a way to... There's no we here. Not yet. If I bring you into this before I have concrete proof, you'll just think I've lost my mind. Hell, I'm not sure I haven't lost my mind, but I need to know. I need to see it again. In better light. With better equipment. I need to document it properly. The truth doesn't matter if you're dead. Seth. A black sedan pulled into the diner parking lot. Tinted windows, government plates. 2 men in dark suits got out and walked toward the entrance. One of them looked directly at my car. Made eye contact. I have to go. Seth, wait. I hung up. Got in my car. Started the engine. The men in suits had stopped at the diner entrance. One was talking on his phone. The other was watching my car. I pulled out of the parking lot slowly, casually. Checked my mirrors. The sedan didn't follow, but I knew they were there. Watching. Waiting. The Vatican had eyes in Lovelock. I spent the rest of the day preparing. Drove to a hunting and outdoor supply store on the outskirts of town. A weathered building with faded signs advertising camping gear and fishing licenses. The place smelled like canvas and gun oil. I bought a high-powered tactical flashlight with 3,000 lumens. 200 feet of climbing rope. A professional-grade camera with low-light capabilities. A portable battery pack. Extra batteries for everything. A first aid kit, energy bars, water bottles, a backup phone. The clerk was an older man with a grizzled beard and eyes that had seen desert survival situations. He didn't ask questions while ringing me up, but when I handed him my credit card, he looked at my purchases and said, "You going somewhere remote?" "Just exploring." "At night?" I didn't answer. He processed the payment and handed me the receipt. "Be careful out there. Desert's not forgiving after sunset. Temperature drops 40 degrees, easy to get turned around. And there's been activity lately." Activity? Sounds. Lights. Some of the ranchers north of town say they've heard things coming from the old cave area. Probably just animals. Coyotes. Maybe a mountain lion, but he shrugged. "Just be careful." By 6 p.m., I was back at the Desert Rose Motel. I packed everything into a heavy-duty backpack, checked my equipment 3 times, made sure every battery was fully charged, made sure my phone had reception, 1 bar, but it was something. And then it spoke. Not in that ancient language, in English, broken, halting. "You returned. I should run." Every survival instinct in my body is screaming at me to turn around, scramble back through those tunnels, get to my car, and drive until I hit the ocean. But I don't move. The creature stands in the center of the chamber, 15 feet away, maybe less. In the faint glow from my phone screen, I can see its outline, massive, 9 feet tall at least. The proportions are wrong in ways that make my brain hurt trying to process them. Arms too long. Legs bent at angles that shouldn't support that much weight. The skull, God, the skull, elongated backward, creating a silhouette that looks more alien than human. But it's wearing clothes, not modern clothes. Animal hide stitched together with what looks like sinew and leather cord. Primitive, but deliberate. Intentional. "You returned," it says again. The voice is deep, resonant, like it's coming from a chest cavity twice the size of a human's. The English is broken, each word carefully formed, like it's translating from another language in real time. My voice catches. I have to swallow twice before I can continue. "I've never been here before. This is my first time in this cave." The creature tilts its head. The motion is disturbingly bird-like. "You carry the scent, the markers, the knowing." It takes a step closer. I press myself harder against the wall. She came before, the one who listened, who did not run, who tried to understand. "Who?" "Dr. Gall Pace." The creature makes a sound that might be agreement, might be grief. "Gall, the woman called Gall Pace. Yes, she returned many times, brought gifts, asked questions, spoke of freeing us from the Watchers." "The Vatican? She wanted to free you from the Vatican?" "The Watchers, the Judgers, those who sealed us when they could not eliminate us." The creature's breathing changes, becomes heavier. "We made her promises, told her truths. She believed. She wanted to help. What happened to her? They came. The men in robes took her away. We heard her screaming in the tunnels. Then silence. The creature's massive hands clench. We could not help. The seals were fresh then, strong. We were weak from sleeping, from waiting. I'm still pressed against the wall, but my fear is slowly being replaced by something else. Curiosity. Academic fascination. This thing, this creature that shouldn't exist, is telling me a story, a perspective, history from the other side. "How long have you been here?" I ask. "Long. Since before your kind built cities. Since before you named your gods." The creature moves closer. I can see more details now in the dim light. Its skin is rough, textured almost like bark. Its eyes reflect my phone light with a reddish glow. "We came here after the waters, after the destruction, after our makers abandoned us to drown. The Watchers, the ones from the Book of Enoch. Your book tells lies, sweet lies to make sense of what you cannot understand." The creature's voice carries something that sounds like bitterness. The Watchers did not fall. They experimented, created, corrupted what was meant to be pure. We were their mistakes. Mistakes? Born wrong, made wrong, Too large, too strong, too different to survive among your kind. When the waters came, when your God decided to wipe clean his creation, we were meant to drown with everything else. The creature gestures around the chamber. But some of us survived, in deep places, in caves like this where the flood could not reach. We learned to hide, to sleep for decades, to avoid your kind until the church found us. My phone battery is dying. The screen flickers. I need to keep it talking. Keep it focused on me instead of whatever it might do if it decides I'm a threat. How many of you are there? 13. Scattered across the world. 13 fragments of a failed creation. The creature sits down. The motion is oddly human. Tired. We are the last. My kind. We do not reproduce. We do not heal quickly. We simply endure. The Vatican said you're dangerous, territorial, that you kill anyone who enters your space. The creature makes a sound that might be laughter, might be crying. The church lies. We do not kill. We hide. We wait. We remember what we lost when your kind remade the world and erased us from it. A sound echoes from deeper in the cave system. Footsteps, multiple people, voices calling out in the distance. The creature's head snaps toward the sound. Its entire body tenses. They come. The containment. They will take you like they took Gaul. Lock you away. Break your mind with questions until you cannot remember what you saw. I won't let them. You cannot stop them. They have done this for 2,000 years, containing truth, hiding evidence. We are not the only secrets they bury. The creature stands, towers over me. You must choose. Flee now. Live free but forever questioning what you saw. Or stay. Help us. And be destroyed by those who fear the truth. The voices are getting closer. I can hear equipment. Boots on stone. Someone shouting coordinates. My phone screen goes black. The battery is dead. In the sudden darkness, I hear the creature moving. But not toward me. Away. Deeper into the chamber. Wait, I whisper. What's your name? What should I call you? A pause. Then, from the shadows. My makers called me Orin, before they abandoned us. Orin, I need you to help me understand. I need proof, evidence, something I can... No. The voice is firm now, final. If you prove we exist, they will execute us all. The arrangement is simple. Our silence for our survival. You threaten that balance. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness, sweeping across the chamber entrance, getting closer. Dr. Salazar. A new voice. Male, American. Authority in every syllable. Federal agents, come out slowly with your hands visible. I don't move. The flashlights find me, blind me. I raise my hand to shield my eyes. Dr. Salazar, you need to come with us. This area is restricted. You're in violation of federal preservation statutes. I'm a researcher. I have every right to... You have no rights here. The voice is closer now. I can see the silhouette behind the flashlight. Tall, wearing tactical gear. The Vatican has requested your immediate detention and transfer to a secure facility for debriefing. The Vatican has no jurisdiction in the United States. They do when it concerns matters of international religious significance and potential threats to public safety. The figure gestures to someone behind him. Take him! Hands grab my arms, strong, professional. I'm pulled away from the wall, my backpack stripped off, my pockets emptied. Wait, the creature. It's here, in this chamber. You need to... There's no creature, Dr. Salazar. You're experiencing stress-induced hallucinations brought on by dehydration and oxygen deprivation. Common in cave environments. We're here to help you. They're dragging me toward the tunnel, back the way I came. I look over my shoulder, searching the darkness for any sign of Orin. Nothing, just shadows and stone. Please, you have to listen. There's a skull on the floor, right there, evidence. Physical proof of... We'll document everything. Right now we need to get you to the surface, get you medical attention. They're lying. I can hear it in their voices. They know. They've always known. We emerge from the cave 20 minutes later. There are vehicles everywhere. Black SUVs with government plates. Portable lights set up around the entrance. Men and women in tactical gear establishing a perimeter. And standing near the lead vehicle, wearing a simple black suit and clerical collar, is a man I don't recognize. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, calm demeanor. He watches as they bring me out. "Dr. Salazar," he says. His voice is smooth, practiced. "My name is Father Dominic Rogers. I'm here on behalf of the Vatican to facilitate your safe return to civilization." Facilitate my arrest, you mean? Facilitate your protection, from yourself and from forces you don't fully understand. He gestures to one of the vehicles. "Please, let's talk somewhere more comfortable." They put me in the back of an SUV. Father Rogers sits beside me. The door closes. The sound of the desert fades to silence. "You spoke with it," he says. Not a question. "I spoke with a survivor. A being that your church has been hiding for millennia. A creature that should have been eliminated during the flood but somehow endured. Yes, we're aware." Rogers pulls out a tablet, swipes through images. "We have 13 sites like this globally. 13 containment zones where the last Nephilim descendants remain in isolation. Why not kill them? Because we don't know what happens if we do. These creatures may be connected in ways we don't understand. Kill one, potentially trigger a response in the others. Or worse, break whatever metaphysical seal has kept them docile for centuries." He shows me a photograph. The same chamber I was just in, but from a different angle. Dated 1983. Dr. Pace thought she could help them, free them. She didn't understand that their containment protects them as much as it protects us. "Where is she? What did you do to her?" Rogers swipes to another image. A sterile room, medical equipment. A woman sitting in a chair staring at nothing. Empty eyes, vacant expression. My stomach turns. "You broke her." "The truth broke her, Dr. Salazar. The weight of knowing what these creatures represent. The theological implications. The proof that human origins are more complex than any scripture admits." He puts away the tablet. "Some minds can't carry that burden. They fracture, fragment. We provide care for those who break under the weight of forbidden knowledge. You torture people who discover the truth. We provide medical care for those who can't process revelations they weren't meant to witness." Rogers leans forward. "You have a choice. Option 1, voluntary cooperation. You come with us to a facility. Undergo psychological evaluation. Receive treatment that will help you forget the specifics of what you saw while retaining a vague awareness that something occurred. You'll go home in 6 months, resume your life. The memories will surface eventually, but fragmented enough that you'll question their reality. And option 2? We do it involuntarily. The results are the same, but the process is more traumatic, more likely to cause the kind of permanent damage you saw in Dr. Pace's photograph." I look out the window. The desert stretches endlessly, stars overhead. The cave entrance is still visible, ringed by lights and armed personnel. "What if I refuse both options? Then you'll disappear. Like the others who've chosen defiance over wisdom. The Vatican has resources you can't imagine. We've been managing inconvenient truths for 2,000 years. One more disappeared researcher is barely a footnote." The SUV's door opens. A medic leans in. "We're ready to administer the sedative." Rogers looks at me. "What's it going to be, Dr. Salazar? Voluntary or involuntary?" I think about Oren. About 13 creatures scattered across the globe, surviving in isolation, hiding from a church that can't admit they exist. About Dr. Pace, broken by the weight of truth. About the choice between knowledge and sanity. "I want to see them," I say. "The 1983 team. All of them. Before I decide." Rogers considers this, then nods. "All right, but it won't change anything." They took me to a facility 2 hours outside Lovelock. Underground, concrete, fluorescent lights, the smell of disinfectant masking something else. Despair, maybe. Armed guards at every checkpoint. Rogers led me through the security maze. 3 rooms, he said. 3 people who chose truth over preservation. The first room held Dr. Gall Pace. She sat by a fake window showing a video loop of clouds. Empty eyes, no recognition when we entered. "Gall," Rogers said gently. "You have a visitor." Nothing. I knelt in front of her. "Dr. Pace, can you hear me?" A flicker of awareness, then gone. 17 years of silence, Rogers said. The truth broke her mind. It couldn't reconcile what the creature showed her with everything she believed. The second room, Cassian Selden pacing, muttering calculations. 47,000 days since the waters, divided by lunar cycles. Cassian, Rogers said. Selden's manic eyes locked on us. Did you solve it? The equation? How they survived? How the corruption spread? He grabbed my arm. They're not monsters. They're evidence. Proof that God makes mistakes. A nurse sedated him. His eyes went vacant. Archaeologist, Rogers said quietly. One of the best, now locked in an endless loop, trying to rationalize what shouldn't exist. The third room, Father Jared Schmid. He smiled when he saw us. The smile was empty. Another seeker, he said dreamily. Come to witness the beautiful truth. Father Schmid, Rogers said. How are you feeling today? Blessed. Enlightened. Schmid's eyes burned with intensity. You met one, didn't you? Wasn't it magnificent? The proof that God's creation is vast beyond our comprehension? The Nephilim aren't mistakes, they're variations. He started laughing. Hollow. Endless. Rogers pulled me out. This is what carrying extraordinary knowledge does to ordinary minds. We don't break these people. The truth breaks them. This is what happens when ordinary people carry extraordinary knowledge without preparation, without the psychological framework to process revelations that contradict fundamental beliefs. He led me back toward the entrance. We don't break these people, Dr. Salazar. The truth breaks them. We just try to pick up the pieces. We returned to a small office. Rogers sat behind the desk. You've seen what awaits you if you hold on to what you know. Fragmentation, obsession, collapse. He pulled out a consent form. Or you can choose treatment. 6 months of care. Then you go home, resume your life. The memories will surface eventually, but fragmented enough that you'll question their reality. I looked at the consent form, at the signature line waiting for my name. What if there was a third option? I asked. There isn't. What if I agreed to silence? If voluntary silence, no treatment, no memory suppression, I just don't tell anyone, ever. I go home, live my life, keep the secret. Rogers leaned back. We tried that approach in the 1800s, the 1700s, earlier. It never works. People can't carry secrets this large. They tell a spouse, a colleague, a student. The secret spreads. And then we have to contain it again, but with more damage, more exposure. I'm stronger than the others. They all say that. I'm not interested in exposing the creatures. I don't want them killed. I don't want to destroy what you've built. I just want to live with the knowledge that we're not alone, that there's more to creation than we've been told. Rogers studied me. Why would we trust you? Because I spoke with Oren. I heard his story. I understand what's at stake. 13 survivors, the last of their kind. If I expose them, they die. And I don't want that blood on my hands. Silence. Rogers tapped his fingers on the desk, considering. There's a monitoring protocol, he finally said. For individuals who know but agree to silence, annual check-ins, periodic psychological evaluations. Any sign that you're preparing to go public, and we intervene, immediately, permanently. I accept those terms. You'll never publish about this, never write about it, never even hint at it in academic circles. Agreed. And if we determine at any point that you're a risk to containment, you undergo treatment. No arguments, no appeals. Understood. Rogers pulled out a different form, much longer, dense legal language. This is a permanent non-disclosure agreement with enforcement provisions that make the NDAs we used in the 80s look like kindergarten permission slips. You violate this, and you'll spend the rest of your life in a facility that makes this one look pleasant. I read through it. Every clause was designed to ensure my silence. Criminal penalties, civil penalties, psychological intervention clauses, authority for the Vatican to detain me without warrant or trial. I signed it. Rogers witnessed the signature, filed the document in a safe, then stood and offered his hand. Welcome to the smallest, loneliest fraternity in the world, Dr. Salazar. The people who know the truth and can never speak it. I shook his hand. What happens now? Now you go home. You resume your life. You publish safe research. You teach classes. You grow old knowing that beneath our cities and our civilizations, in the deep places where we don't look, 13 survivors are waiting, enduring, remembering what they lost when the world was remade. They drove me back to Lovelock, dropped me at my motel at sunrise, gave me my belongings, minus my camera, my notes, and anything that could be considered evidence. I slept for 16 hours. When I woke up, I checked my phone. The recordings were gone. The photographs were gone. Every file I'd downloaded from the Vatican archives had been wiped, but the bruises on my shoulder remained. 5 perfect circles. Proof that I hadn't imagined any of it. I drove to the airport, flew back to Georgetown, walked into my office like nothing had happened. My colleagues asked about my trip to Rome. I told them it was productive. Found some interesting variations in Enochian manuscripts. Nothing groundbreaking, just academic work. They believed me. Life resumed. Classes, office hours, faculty meetings, research proposals. Everything normal. Everything safe. But some nights, I wake up with those bruises aching. The skin around them tingles with phantom sensation. And I know somehow that Oren is still down there, is still waiting, still enduring. And I wonder if he thinks about me. If he remembers the researcher who came and listened and chose silence over truth. The arrangement continues. The Vatican monitors me. Periodic check-ins with Father Rogers. Psychological evaluations every 6 months. They watch my publications, my lectures, my emails, making sure I keep the promise. So far, I have. But I'm recording this, creating a backup, setting it to upload automatically if I don't check in every 24 hours. A dead man's switch for dead knowledge. Because the truth deserves to be preserved, even if it can't be spoken. Somewhere in Nevada, in a cave that officially doesn't exist, a creature named Oren survives, one of 13, the last fragments of a creation that failed. Living proof that we're not alone, that we never were. And the Vatican, the institution that claims to speak for God, guards their existence with the same fervor they once guarded the truth that the earth orbits the sun. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed. Some truths, once learned, can never be forgotten. And some secrets are kept not to protect institutions, but to protect the fragile peace between what we know and what we can accept. I chose silence. But silence isn't the same as forgetting. Oren, if you can somehow hear this, I remember. I understand. And I'll carry your story until the day I die. The arrangement holds, for now.
They used to have when I worked up in Carmel Mountain Ranch, they had a